The following video is a recording from our first artist feedback AMA session featuring only Astro and night sky photography. This session was held in the MetaJungle Discord on April 15th and hosted by talented photographers Dan Hawk and Mustafa Aiden. We want to thank Dan and Mustafa for their honest review and feedback of 10 different NFT collections. We also want to thank everyone who was able to attend, as well as the artists who submitted their collections for review. And we hope you find it useful. With that, let's go on ahead and get into it.
So I want to dive in and get going on this. One thing I did want to mention real quick before we get in too far is that I do want to, I like hearing from the artists, but I would like to kind of keep it to, if there is an artist and you're in the room and you want to say something, let's keep it to questions and answers so we can kind of keep it quick, if that makes sense. Cool with everybody?
Yeah, for me, yeah, like we spoke, yeah, let's keep it like that. And if you're ready, are you going to share your screen then?
Yeah, my screen should be shared already. I don't know if you can see it. I know Mike saw it earlier, so it is streaming.
Yeah, I see it now. I see it now.
Good. So the order is it's not, I'm kind of sticking somewhat close to the order I put them in, with a couple put towards the end just because I've had some requests. But let's go ahead and dive in. So the first of all, I wanted to say, Mustafa, thank you so much for being here. I think you are very, very gifted at this style of art, and so it's a pleasure to have you join me. This is an area that I've been really excited about, and it's an area of photography that I've been pursuing for years. But I love your perspective and the way you do things. So it's going to be great to have you on board here and to get your opinion, and so we can give people some good advice. So thank you.
Yeah, thank you very much. I really am so excited, for this opportunity. Yeah, let's get started.
Okay, so our first artist is Ali Shafian, and I apologize because I could not figure out how to link him or her in Discord. Like, I just couldn't find the profile, so apologize. So if Ali is in the room here, I apologize. Sorry about that. But right off the bat, let's just go ahead and look at this collection. So this is called Beauty of Nightscape. The description is super compact. Nightscape definition: a scene viewed at night, especially as represented in art. We have 11 pieces in this collection. There are, let's take a look here. Yeah, and so we, at this point, don't have any sold yet. Our lowest price is 0.03, which is a steal. And then they're all kind of in that range. Looks like going up to about 0.1, 0.12. So I'd love to, Mustafa, would you just let me know kind of what you think? I'd love to hear your opinion. Let's just dive in.
Yeah, sure. I actually took some notes. First of all, in my opinion, and when I minted my first collection, Space Ape, I did the same mistake. Um, you know, um, Putting more than one different astrophotography genres in one collection, I figured out it was not the good thing to do. So here we can see, star trails, Milky Way shots, and also Orion and cloudy sky shots, and there is one solar eruption shot. So for instance, if I start with this one, this is an outlier in my opinion, because, well, solar astrophotography is astrophotography, of course, but when it is like, this one, if it is sunset, most probably it's sunset, or sunrise, it's not really, yeah, it's sunrise. So it's not really, it doesn't fit astrophotography, in my opinion, of course.
Right.
So these would be my first impressions about this one. And I would have gone for star trails only, or Milky Way only, or general nightscapes. So in that sense, uh, yeah. For instance, this one is also an outlier. It doesn't fit with the rest of the collection. Um, yeah, and what else I would say? In price and point, I will leave you to talk about it because you're more experienced in that. And with the buildings, the artificial light that you used to enlighten the foreground, I think it's too much. It's too much. Uh, you could have used the light in a very short time during the shooting, or you could have just deal with it during the post process. For instance, the ancient caravanserai, kind of okay in that term. I like the lighting in front, in the back, in the foreground, because it's not too much, but it is enlightened enough. But some of the others are not, are too much light, and it doesn't give the sense of night photography to me.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree with you.
And one last thing, and I will leave it to you, especially in the buildings like that one, Star Trail over Observatory, and other ones, during the post process, you could, uh, uh, if you're using Lightroom, you could have used, distortion fixing, uh, choosing the lens preview would be nice. These would be my points then, if you would like to
Yeah.
go on from here.
No, I think that's great. I have had a lot of the same thoughts. First of all, Ali, you really are doing some great work here. I think the big question is there's two things. One is that I think the curation of this collection kind of needs some work. Just like Mustafa said. Oh, hello. Did we have somebody join us there? No? Okay. So as we look through, what I see is I see 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 Star Trail shots. And so I think that is, sort of its own thing. And I think that you've got also some of these other photos of the Milky Way with these buildings with the arches. And I know that they're in a couple other ones as well. But I agree. I think this one probably doesn't belong in the collection at all. It's not an Astro. It's not stars. It's actually during the daytime. And my gut is, I think, kind of the same thing. I'm seeing some of the same things. Like, I actually really like this one, with the star trails and everything here. But the one thing I'm kind of consistently seeing, and this is maybe getting into a technical thing, is I think it might make sense to kind of consider that you want to look at your white balance settings across the entire collection, and look at figuring out ways to kind of work out your white balance so that the foreground and the sky are matching a little bit more. Like, and I think that's kind of part of the issue, is that you've got kind of a greenish foreground. Here you've got a orangey yellow one. This one's kind of neutral. I actually kind of like this one. And then this one is very, very, very orangey. This one's super cool. You see how the green is really bright. So I would think about some of those things to kind of clean it up. But this one could be a little warmer. One of the things that I also think is worth looking at is, I think pricing is fine. I don't think there's any issues with pricing here. You're getting started. You're brand new at this. Haven't had any sales yet. So these 0.04, these are what a lot of artists that are a little more established are selling their editions for. So I think you're good there. I think pricing is fine. The one thing that as I look through all of these, is that I think, so I'm just going to randomly pick one. So look at our descriptions here. What I'm seeing is I see your artist name, I see the edition. What I don't see are there's no information here about licensing. What is the collector getting when they buy this piece? How can they use it? That's going to be super important, and it's something that here in MetaJungle we've talked about quite a bit. This is stuff that we really do need to be including, stuff that we need to make sure that we put in here, because the collector needs to see that. So I would really like to see that added to these. I also do like, I think you've got some great titles here. I like that you have titles. I like that that's all in here. I would maybe flesh out your descriptions a little bit more. And realistically, what I'm seeing here, I'm seeing a Star Trails collection potentially. 5. Maybe you could, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. You got 6 Star Trail collection pieces here. I feel like pulling the other ones out, like I think this one might be a little weak. This one might be a little weak. I like the stories behind them, but I just don't know that they're of the same quality. The Star Trail images just kind of have a different vibe. This one is pretty cool. Bioluminescence as well, right? Mustafa, do you have anything else you'd want to add?
Yeah, I while I was going through all the submitted collections, I saw in some of them, but I didn't see in this one. I strongly recommend, especially in astrophotography, it is really important to, list your equipment because, most of the time we evaluate the astrophotography with the equipment that you shot. So, you can use the properties part. You can add your camera lens if you use any filter. It would be nice. And on the other hand, for not for the Star Trails one, but the Milky Way ones, I would, I would, I would say, post-processing of the sky part, needs a bit more attention, really. For this, you can, of course, go on YouTube and watch lots of different, tutorials, or maybe we can, in the future, host some post-processing.
Yeah, I like that idea a lot.
Yeah,
I think people don't think about.
Yeah, actually, we've been talking about this actually with Reza, because he is hosting the astrophotography spaces, and I am also involved in there. For both deep space astrophotography and Milky Way astrophotography, I would love to have that kind of workshop to show at least some stuff, because I most of the time see most of the time people don't know how to stack and use of stack, the benefits of stack and noise reduction, and also bringing out more details. And like you said, it is so important, having kind of, way of white balance, or a style. So I don't see that style here, like you said.
So let's I put that in the chat that we should probably talk about doing a post-processing on Milky Way specifically. But so we've kind of already answered the questions for this artist. Do you want to move on to the next one?
Yeah, I think we answered all the questions, and I also said my additional points. We can move on.
Okay. So the next one,
if the artist is not here and if he has questions.
I didn't see them
Okay.
here. So let's. I'm going to make sure I'm picking the right one here. Moving forward. Come on, I got too many screens I'm balancing here. Okay, so
this is the next one. Then you're
yeah,
right.
World Under the Stars. Okay, so this World Under the Stars. The artist for this one is. Let me see if I can get their name right. Engin Yildiz.
Engin Yildiz.
Engin Yildiz. Okay.
Yeah, and actually, his surname is very, suitable for astrophotography because I means moon and Yildiz means star. So
Perfect.
that's coincidence.
Well, let's dig in here. So, world under the stars. Another problem in our world is light pollution. Due to the negative effects of city lights, we have to go to places away from light in order to see the stars. In this collection, I shot under the stars in Turkey, away from the light pollution. Photos are single frame shots. RAWs are originals. This collection consists of 8 photographs. Editions 1 of 1. NFT artist Engin Yildiz. So, this is great. One of the things that I think that is, I love that they mention light pollution. That he mentioned it because that is a thing that we have to contend with as astrophotographers. We have 8 pieces in this collection. I like the size of it. I'll just say that right off the bat. There's some really nice things I can see even from the thumbnails here. So pretty excited about that. And let's just go ahead and start taking a look here. I'm going to go ahead and look through, just see what we've got. So a couple things that are important to note here. This right here, we've got a really nice description of what's going on. We have the artist name. We have the license here. And down here, we've got some properties. Artist, camera, date, location, edition, dimension, resolution, and type. So that's fantastic. Love seeing all.
Right there, I just want to add, because I noted that, it would be nice to have the lens also. Sorry to interrupt.
To have what? Sorry?
The lens.
Oh, okay. Lens. And I will say one more thing. Everybody in the MetaJungle community, please hear me say this. I've only seen one person come across in our reviews. You take this license and you probably need to figure out what the generic name is for your license, and you need to put it in the properties. Go look at Sloika and go look at how they're done on Sloika, because I think it is going to make a difference in the future. If you put it in properties, all the different marketplaces can find it and they can display it, and they can parse it out and find it, and it's searchable. So you should have it. So let's talk about the actual work here. So I'm gonna rearrange these. So we're looking at the oldest. And so we've got this one. Oh, this is cool. We've got the Milky Way cloud with the star trails, with this lit building in the foreground, a monastery, really beautiful. We've got a really nice Milky Way core over a castle here. That's kind of cool looking. Looks like we've got some drone light painting happen in this one. And we got these interesting clouds. We got the iconic flashlight shining up into the sky. We've got some artificial light painting on waterfalls with the Milky Way overhead. That's different. I haven't seen anything like that in our reviews yet. This one's nice. You've got a blend of different kinds of light happening. This one probably has the most detailed Milky Way core of the whole series. And then one more. We've got somebody standing out under the stars, so that's kind of fun. Mustafa, I'd love to hear your opinion on these. How do you feel like these fit as a collection, and what are your thoughts?
Okay, from here, I actually would like to talk in Turkish because Engin doesn't speak English, and during the day he DM'd me about that. I will translate in general what you said, and also I will tell my opinions in Turkish if it is okay for you guys.
That is totally okay, yeah.
Okay, but in general, I would like to say, in Turkish, so in English, so you would also
Sure.
Here. So, like you said, light pollution is important, but I always, tend to use light pollution as an advantage for me, because even though light pollution, if it is in the sky, it is not good. But if there is a slight bit of light pollution in the foreground, and if you can use that to enlighten the foreground, then you won't need any type of artificial light sometimes, which won't look you know, equal. For instance, here in this one, Cold Pınar waterfall, you know, in that rock, it, you know, the left hand side of the picture, it is a bit too much, you know. I like the lightening on the for waterfall, but that part is too much.
Right.
I will he also asked a question. He said, you know, all these shots are single frames, and you know, in my opinion, and he asked if it is an artistic point. In my opinion, it's not, because you know, you have to tell this to the collector, because it won't mean anything to collector if it is one single shot, or you know, composite, or stack. So I will continue in Turkish from here. Engin merhaba, duyuyor musun beni? Oradasın, görüyorum. Tamam. Şimdi Den'in söylediklerini kısaca tercüme edeyim ve benim düşüncelerimi de ileteyim sana. Şimdi Dan genel olarak koleksiyonunu veya yani 8 tane olması oldukça güzel. Ondan sonra hani ışık kirlilik konusuna şey yapman güzel. Ne denir onun adı? Işık kirliliğinden bahsediyor olman güzel. Ama ışık kirliliğinin ötesinde, bundan sonrası benim düşüncelerim. Işık kirliliğinin ötesinde bu ön plandaki mesela işte evet, mesela bunda İmera Monastery'de muhtemelen ön planı kendin aydınlattın, doğru mu?
Evet.
Ya da şeyde ne şu Kolpınar Waterfall'da mesela bunda da yine ön planı kendin aydınlatmışsın. Bu aydınlattığın zaman bu şeyden çıkıyor. Ne denir? Hani ışık kirliliği olmaktan çıkıyor. Ön planı tabii ki ben de aydınlatırım zaman zaman bu tür fotoğraflarda. Ama önemli olan bu ön planı aydınlatırken mümkün olduğunca eşit şekilde aydınlatmak ve gece fotoğrafı çektiğin gece fotoğrafı etkisinden dışarı çıkmamak lazım. Mesela bu waterfall'da, yani ön plandaki kayalık, sol taraftaki kayalık bence çok fazla aydınlanmış. Bunun için daha düzgün aydınlatmalar var. Onları kullanabilirsin. Şimdi sen sormuşsun. Bu sorun aslında ilginç geldi bana. Bir Space'de de seni tercüme de etmiştim. Hatırlıyorum ben tek karelerden yaptığını.
Evet.
Şimdi burada bu artistik olarak işte ben tek kareler çektim demen aslına bakarsan çok bir şey ifade etmiyor. Bana göre tabii ki bu. Neden? Çünkü bunu...
açısından.
Efendim?
Zorluk derecesi açısından.
Öyle
yani
ama bunu... Evet, ama bunu senin kolektöre izah etmen. Çünkü hani bu kadar basit bir şeyi dahi kolektörler bilmiyorlar. O yüzden evet, astro fotoğrafçılar arasında işte tek kare fotoğraf çekmek ve o tek kareden mümkün olduğunca detay çıkartmak bizim açımızdan, biz kendi aramızda konuştuğumuz anlamlı olsa da açısından, kolektörler açısından bir şey fark etmiyor. Bunun senin bunu izah edebiliyor olman lazım diye düşünüyorum. O yüzden hani bu böyle bir ilave artistik bana göre etmiyor. Ama bunu ben işte çıktığım yerlerde konuşarak anlatabilirim diyorsan tabii ki başımın üstünde yeri var.
Yok Mustafa Hocam, artistik değer olarak demiyorum. Hani ben zorluk derecesi olarak tek karede...
Ama öyle demiştin. Artistic
Mesela
value
kozlamanın
demiştin.
zorluğu. Belki tarif
doğru
olarak o
söylüyorsun.
yanlış olmuştur.
Evet, yani hani sorun artistic value diye soruyor. Evet, astrofotoğrafçılar arasında çok önemli bir şey ama kolektörler açısından değil bence.
Tamam.
Hatta
Zaten
bence
sorumun cevabı da hocam o. Kolektörler için ne kadar önemli? Cevabımı almış
değil.
oldum böylece.
Evet, gerçekten önemli değil. Yani hani ben 6 aydır, ben sadece çok uzun yıllardır sadece astrofotoğrafçılık yapan birisi olarak ve 6 aydır da NFT dünyasında olan birisi olarak e, yani kullandığın teleskopun, kullandığın lensin, kullandığın makinenin e, çok bir önemi olmadığını düşünüyorum. Bir de eksik olarak mesela burada bu properties'de lensini de eklersen bence güzel olur. Kameranı eklemişsin.
Tamam.
Lensini de
Onu
eklersen
unuttum.
güzel olur.
Bunu sonradan
Aa,
fark ettim. Unuttum hocam onu.
yani sıkıntı değil. Ama ben senin yerinde olsam, şimdi sonuçta burada sattığımız şey NFT'de bir sanat satıyoruz. Tek kareyle zorluğu ifade etmek yerine tek kare değil de üst üste çekimler yapıp bunları istifleyip gürültü sinyal oranını artırıp çok daha güzel foregroundlar bulup daha sanatsal ve daha çok detay içeren fotoğraflar yapsan e, tek kare olmaktan bence daha ön plana çıkarsın. Dediğim gibi bunu kolektörler anlamayacaktır tek karenin özelliğini.
Tamam. Anladım hocam.
Umarım faydalı olabilmişimdir Engin. DM'im her zaman açık.
Kesinlikle.
İstediğin zaman konuşabiliriz.
Tabii ki. Kesinlikle.
Okay, so
Biraz da Mustafa hocam şundan dolayı tek kare denildiği için biliyorsun
biraz gürültü
yarışmalarda
geliyor
round
Engin arka planda. Pardon.
bende gelmiyor ama hocam. Siz bir yerdeyim. Şöyle bir şey
Tamam.
var.
Tamam dinliyorum.
Ben hani fotoğraf yarışmalarına katıldığımızda RAW isteniyor ya. O yüzden biraz da tek kare çalışmalar bunlar. Hani RAW'ı
Anladım.
mevcut. Tek kareyle ama RAW'ı mevcut. O yüzden biraz da.
Anlıyorum ama burası fotoğraf yarışması değil. Burası NFT dünyası.
Kesinlikle daha iyi anladım kolektörler
Evet.
açısından anlattığı şey.
Yani öyle düşün. Sonuçta ortaya çıkartmak zorunda olduğun fotoğraflar çok daha albenisi olması gereken fotoğraflar. Evet, yani tek kareyle fotoğraf çekmek ve işlemek çok zordur. Çünkü sinyal gürültü oranı çok düşüktür. Sen o fotoğrafı ne kadar çok işlemek istersen bile bu sefer gürültüyü çok ortaya çıkarırsın. O yüzden bence istiflemek hatta ileride imkanlarını veriyorsa bir tracker alarak hem uzun pozlamalar yapıp hem istiflemek çok daha iyi olacak.
Peki Mustafa hocam bir soru sorsam. Bu koleksiyonda diretmemin çok sizce şey var mı? Başka bunun yerine daha belgesel çalışma sizce yükleyeyim mi?
Ya
Hani
bence bu
diyorsunuz.
dursun ama bir yandan bir başka farklı bir işin varsa da onu da koy derim.
Başka işim Covid var hocam. Orada zaten Covid-19 daha önce AMA'da yer aldım. 2 tane satış yaptım. Covid-19 çalışmam var.
Bence yani işte ikisinin üzerinden devam ederim ben bence. Belki hani bunun belki birazcık fiyatı bir düşürmeyi düşünebilirsin diyorum.
Tamam. Teşekkür ederim.
Rica ederim.
Hey, Mustafa, are we
Ya
I just wanted to just check in with you because we want to probably get moving on here pretty soon.
yes, that's what I thought. Engin teşekkür ederiz. Kusura bakma zamanımız sınırlı olduğu için bu kadar ama
Tamam.
devam ederiz seninle konuşmaya.
Tamamdır. Teşekkür hocam. Teşekkür.
Yeah, let's get going then. Sorry.
No, it's okay. That's cool.
Some questions.
I love the idea that you actually can speak people's native languages that are artists. I think that's really cool. At the same time, I also we kind of want to get moving on. I think a little bit in terms of giving just overall feedback. I think pricing is good, and I feel like there's this one thing that got said. What was that? He was mentioning the fact that they are single images, right?
Yeah, actually, that's what we told very largely. You know, I think,
Yeah.
sorry for interrupting, but I think it doesn't add any artistic value, especially in front of collectors' eyes. That is what I said.
So I will tell you this though. I have one piece that I released that's an Astro night shot, and the collector directly reached out and said, "Is this a single image or is this a composite?" So he actually wanted to know. So, but I don't think most collectors care. So, I agree with you. Any thoughts? I think this is a pretty cohesive collection. I think these all work well together in terms of the actual curation of the pieces. Do you have any additional thoughts? I will add one thing, is that I looked through, and then a few of these don't have the licensing information. So maybe let him know he should go back and add licensing information on. Just check all of them.
Engin, bazılarında lisans tekrar o eksik olanlarda koymayı düşünebilirsin. Mesela bunda yok.
Hocam düzenleme yapırken silinmiş galiba. Onları hemen düzenliyorum.
Tamam. Onlar bak bunda var mesela, bazılarında yok. Yani genel olarak ben hatta fiyatını da iyi buluyor. Yani bahaneni düşürebilirsin dedim ama buradan da devam edebilirsin. Hani genel olarak kürasyon olarak da başarılı buluyor. Yani bence devam et. Bir şeyler çıkacaktır diye düşünüyorum ben. Ama genel olarak hani astrofotoğrafçılıkla ilgili kısımları zaten konuşuruz. Biraz önce konuşuyordum. Hani bir post processing konusunda da burada bir workshop, bir atölye yapmayı planlıyoruz zaten.
Tamam hocam. Teşekkür.
Great. So, yeah, I think overall a good collection. I like the size of it. I think we're pretty good there. Do you want to move on?
Yes, please.
Okay. So, and appreciate him submitting. That's great. Okay, so let's move on. The next one is going to be the Tranquil Nights, and I'll just click on here. Our artist is Tushar Tiaghi, and it looks like Tushar's from India. So this is a pretty tight little collection here. We've got 5 items. Looks like there actually has been some sales, and I'll just read this. The night sky has always filled the human brain with curiosity and wonders. It's often overwhelming when we think about the scale of the universe, but eventually when we overcome our fear of being tiny, we find that the grandeur of this universe dwarves our insecurities and makes us a humble being. As a child, I was always fascinated by the different constellations and phases of moon. That fascination hit me again when I saw the Milky Way for the first time. Capturing it gave me a zen that I never experienced before. Finding dark skies away from civilization, sitting in the dark for hours, witnessing meteors, deep talks about universe are the things that make an astrophotograph a bundle of memorable stories. This journey of astrophotography started in 2018 and has led me to various places in the Himalayas in search of dark skies. This is a collection of one-of-one astrophotographs containing Milky Way and stars in various beautiful Himalayan settings. So we got 5 pieces here, and we'll just kind of take a look here. Pricing is 0.5, 0.2, 0.22, and we had one piece that has sold for 0.2. And I recognize this one, so I know that we've actually, pretty sure we've had, at least this piece has been in a different collection that we've reviewed in our group here before, unless somebody else took a picture there. But I'm pretty sure it's the same photo. So let's just take a look here. What we've got. We've got the artist name, we've got license, so we've got all this information. One thing that I would probably do, since this isn't sold yet, is maybe go in and edit and change, like put in you want to put a line break in, like right about here, before edition, just to make it easier to read so people can easily see what they're looking for. I would also add some properties to this one, including the license and your artist name. In fact, that's another thing too. Artist name should be added as a property to all of your collections if you're doing them in OpenSea. See, this one is better, the way that this is laid out. So I would just go through and experiment with whatever you need to do to make that other one work right. I like this longer focal length shot. This is pretty cool. This is great. I like that. It's a really, really nice composition. And we've already seen this one. I'm guessing this one just sold a month ago. And yeah, but you do have the edition stuff in there and all the license. That's great. Okay, so if I'm going to look at just overall what our questions are here for this one, the artist asked, do you think the story which I'm trying to tell and collection description is able to be perceived by this set of images? And then, so I'm going to answer right off the bat. I think that you've got to, generic is the word I would use, but I don't mean it in a bad way. You're talking about the night sky in general and how it makes you feel. And I think that works well with this collection of photos. I think that you're sharing work that means something to you. And so that's fine. I don't think there's any disconnect there. The number of images too small. I think that you potentially could add more. To me, it seems I'm actually working on a collection myself, and I'm debating the same question of is 4 too small? Does it need to be like 6 or 8 or 10? And I don't think there is a single answer. My gut, I mean, this is a little bit of just my own personal feelings. I kind of like it to be even numbers. So I would kind of prefer not 5, but like 6 or 8. And it has a lot to do with how they appear on the page when you're looking at them in OpenSea. Sometimes it works fine, but more often than not, it seems like even numbers seem to line up in a grid better. It seems a little more balanced. So that's kind of my take on that question. And then you asked about the pricing. Having varied pricing with one priced higher than and one a little bit lower, like I don't think it makes any difference. Pricing is one of those things that we worry way too much about it. As long as you're in the ballpark, you're going to be okay. I think you just need to have a good, compelling story for why you've priced it differently than the other ones. Does it mean something more to you? In this case, I think, to me, this might be the most interesting photo in the group. I really like this one though too. So I'm guessing there's a personal story to this one. If I click on it, oh yeah, it's this is like a composed piece where he's trying to make it look like a lightsaber. So yeah, I mean, I think that I think I could see charging a little more for something that means more to you. So all that being said, I don't see any piece there that doesn't really belong. And Mustafa, I'd love to know what you think about this set.
Okay, so I would start with my favorite. Even though I'm not the Star Trail person, I like Star Rail one. My favorite one is that one. And maybe in this one, I would just play with the highlights to have more details on the snowy parts of the mountain. I would reduce the highlights a little, but like I said, the clouds and the stars and the mountain and the composition, my favorite is that one. And also the lightsaber one, it is really nice. But also I would just like maybe a little bit of enlightened face of the house, if we have seen a little bit of details there, I would like it more. And, for other collections as well, I recommend shooting multiple exposures and stacking. For instance, can you zoom in again then in that
On this one?
Yeah, please. The issue is when there is light, when there's signal, there is no noise. Like, you see the foreground, it's enlightened with the lights, so the noise level is so low. But, the parts that are not enlightened, especially the sky and, the dark parts, there are noise. So the best thing to deal with noise is stacking, because that will increase signal to noise ratio perfectly. So I would really recommend stacking images, especially, for instance, you could have had the night sky part and then compose it with the rest. So that would be my take. And for the Starway to Heaven, I like the idea. This the second one, because in the descriptions, there are stairs going up to the temple. I like the idea, but maybe some kind of with the composition or framing, you could emphasize the stairs. I think the bottom part, where the trees and buildings are, is not necessary in the composition. Instead of that, I would, yeah, something like this even would be better, and with the night sky. And I see another technical problem here. There is some trailing in the stars. So again, I would have gone for stacking using shorter, because most probably you use the telelens or higher focal length lens that caused some trailing on the stars. So using shorter exposures, a higher ISO, and at the end stacking would, yeah, something like this, then it would be even better. Yeah, so I would emphasize the stairs, and also I would work on the night sky part a little bit more. And
Right.
there is another one, the one it's sold, the one which was sold. Yeah, so I think again here there is artificial light used to enlighten, or maybe there was a street light. I don't know which one, but it is tricky in astrophotography to have really high dynamic ranges in the composition, because the night sky is so dark, and the foreground is too enlightened. That will give you a hard time post processing it, and
Yeah.
or you should be using masking very efficiently to post process these type of photos.
Right. I think with this one, you could very easily, in the most current version of Lightroom, you could just use a luminance mask to pull down
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. Yeah, but I think I think this is a good collection, and I actually, from a Milky Way shooting perspective, I like the detail and the contrast that you're getting here. This one is actually this one has a little bit of trails. This one is tack sharp. I don't know if you noticed that, but we've got, it really is a pretty clean image too. A little bit of coma out here at the edges, but super clean over here. The other thing I would maybe think about is sometimes what you'll get is you see these little purple halos you're getting. If you sometimes pull back on your there's an editing tool in Lightroom that'll allow you to pull back the purple fringing. And that'll sometimes get
Anti-fringing part, yeah. And
Yeah.
you can also use the lens profile to withdraw a little bit of it, and then you can use the fringing thing.
Yeah, I think you've got some real winners here. I really like this one. I really like this one. I think it's good. I think you wouldn't hurt to maybe add a couple extra images as long as they're of the same quality as these.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say, actually. There are two star trails, three Milky Way. So, I would have added maybe one more star trail to make it even.
Yeah. Good. Well, shall we move on?
Yep, absolutely.
Okay, we've got another one that mentions light pollution, space and light pollution, Astro. We are experiencing the dire consequences of climate change anywhere in the world. Every evening we watch flood, fire, pollution news on the news or on social media. Everyone talks about environmental pollution, garbage, and household waste, but there's something we do not see: space and light pollution. Two factors that will be our biggest problems in the future. Space pollution affects the observations of astronomers and makes it impossible to watch the sky. Light pollution disrupts the natural balance of living things and causes their death. In this collection, I've discussed the subject that affects many subjects, from the increase of cancer to the fertility of animals. The photographs are single frame, and there are factors showing space and environmental pollution in all photographs. All photos are one shot. And then our the artist here is, let me make sure I get their name right here. Ahmet, man, how do you pronounce that last name, Mustafa?
Kilic.
Kilic? Okay.
Yes.
So looking at our, we've got some, a couple properties, some technical, F45 22nd, okay. We've got dimensions, we've got a license, we got license information here. And then the total collection is 6 pieces. I'm just going to do this to satisfy my need for it to all be even. And then let's just get them sorted here. So right off the bat here, we've got 0.25, 0.2, 0.2, 0.2, 19, 0.2. So we've got a little bit of difference in prices, but it's not a lot. And I want to kind of take a look and see what our descriptions are saying. So we've got Neowise here, the comment from a couple years ago. Yeah, let me know what you think here, Mustafa. I'm just kind of taking a look at these up close.
Okay, I have mixed feelings about this one. So it's like, yeah, again, light pollution is a good topic to talk about. But again, I don't see much light pollution here, apart from that one. But yeah, actually, light pollution and so other stuff, because I remember translating Ahmet in MetaJungle space. So it was not only underlining the light pollution, he was also underlining the other pollution like planes and satellites and other stuff. For instance, this is not light pollution because you created that one, so.
So look at the description, though. A fictional frame prepared to explain the two elements that threaten the sustainable future: drought and light pollution. The model tried to draw attention to the environmental problem with the light beam. So if you look at it, it's like set like a desert, a cracked desert area.
Yeah.
So they're explaining. Go ahead.
Again here, sorry. Again here, there are too much different stuff. Like there are Neowise ones. There are just normal nightscape ones without any special part of the sky. There is Milky Way ones. General creation of the collection doesn't look so right to me. I don't know what you think.
Well, so here's kind of what I'm feeling. And my gut is, when I look at a collection like this, when I see this title, I expect to see, some sort of a juxtaposition between the two, and I'm just not seeing it here. You're right. We've got 2 Neowise photos. This one I think is maybe not as good as it doesn't. It's not great quality compared even to some of these other ones. And part of it is, when I pull it up, it's a little overexposed, I think, and it's pretty noisy. Whenever I give that kind of critique, I don't want you to. I'm not meaning to critique the artist and say that you're not good at what you do. I think it's a little bland for me. Whereas this one, there's more of a story. And yet when I pull this one up, I feel like I like that it's a single shot, but it's also, I feel like maybe there's a couple things happening. This is kind of in focus. Your focus seems to be, kind of off somewhere in the distance here, but not on the stars. So the stars are not tack sharp, and Neowise is not really that sharp. And I think that it would be a better photo if your foreground items, either you stack and you get them both in focus, or you get the stars in focus, and then let this stuff be a little blurry.
I totally agree on that. Sorry, then, if we're not going to get the foreground in focus, the thing you have to have in focus is the stars always.
Yeah, exactly. So, I think if I were going to give overall feedback, it's that I don't think the collection, the thing they have in common is that they're all night. I don't know that there's a compelling thematic element that's really tying these together otherwise. And I think the color is so very different from piece to piece that I wouldn't necessarily know these came from the same artist or that they belonged in the same collection. So that's kind of that will be my feedback on this one. And I think that we've mentioned a couple technical things. I think working on making sure that the thing that you want to be in focus is in focus. I think that's super important. And like this one, I just don't I don't think that there's a compelling enough subject here. And I know that there's some talk about how the lighting does things. What I would kind of maybe focus on, this could be interesting as like an overall story if you really focused on the light pollution, but I don't feel like you pulled all those together in this collection. And then I think we had Nasir. Are you? Is that the artist?
No, for this one, Ahmet. I don't know if he's here.
Yeah,
He's here, I think. Ahmet, are you there?
Merhabalar Mustafa Bey.
Merhaba. Tercümeye ihtiyacınız olacak herhalde, değil mi? Hiçbir şey anlamadınız konuşulanlardan.
Var. Birkaç bir şey anladım. Şimdi ben onları söyleyeyim anladığım kadarıyla. Cevap niteliğinde söyleyeyim. Tek kare olmasının sebebi fotoğrafları belgesel anlamında yükledim aslında. Çünkü birleştirme olmuş olsaydı bu fotoğrafların hiçbirinin anlamı olmayacaktı. Bir de renklerden bahsetti. Onları ben bilerek düzeltmedim. Işık kirliliğinin gökyüzüne o yansımasını, parlamasının etkisini göstermek için. Bazılarında pembe, bazılarında mavi olmasının sebebi bu. Bunu belirtebilir miyiz?
Mikrofonum şey demiş. Tabii.
Anladığım kadarıyla bunları sordu çünkü söyledi.
Evet, yani burada birkaç başka teknik şey de söyledik. Mesela Neowise ve Satellite olanda mesela bunda yani aslında burada bir kompozisyon var, bu güzel ama netlikte bence burada bir sorun var. Ya hani focus stack dediğimiz ama tabii ki sen tek kare kullanmak istemişsin. Ya focus stack dediğimiz hani ön planı da net yaptığın, yıldızları da net yaptığın bir şey tercih edebilirdin. Ya da yıldızları net yapabilirdin. Yani çünkü biz eğer ön planı net yapmayacaksak, yani astro fotoğrafta her zaman yıldızları net yapmayı tercih ediyoruz. O mesela benim de görüşümdü, Den'in de görüşüydü aynı şekilde. Genel olarak hani burada uzay kirliliği ve ışık kirliliği hani konusuna dikkat çekmeye çalışmışsın ama yani genel olarak bu algıyı vermiyor. Bir de birinci fotoğrafta Neowise Airplane and Satellite'da bunu birazcık fazla sanıyorum pozlanmış. Go to the Neowise one then please. Orada birazcık yıldızlarda yine uzama var ve birazcık fazla uzun pozlanmış anladığım kadarıyla. Yani belki de onu oradaki ışık kirliliğini göstermek için yaptın. Ama hem de birazcık fazla gürültü var dedi.
Gürültüyü stoklama yapmak, istifleme fotoğrafları bilerek yüklemedik. Dediğim gibi yani belge
Yani
katmak için,
istifleme
background
yapmadan da
olsun diye.
anladım. İstifleme yapmadan da gürültü azaltma teknikleri uygulayabilirsin. Ya bunun için
Tamam.
yani bunları lütfen hani böyle kırıcı olarak algılama. Burada amacımız birlikte gelişmek. E,
Tabii.
Hepimiz öğreniyoruz. E,
Yok, ben
Burada
amacımı iletmek istiyorum da o yüzden sadece.
tamam tamam.
Anladım ben.
Onu anlıyorum. Biraz önce de söylemiştim. Eğil'e de söylemiştim.
Evet,
Evet, yani bu belgesel niteliğinde yapmak, sonuçta istiflesen zaten o satellite'ları da kaybedeceksin. Dolayısıyla
evet.
istiflememen doğru hareket burada. Çünkü istiflediğin zaman onlar rejection'la gidecek. Dolayısıyla o doğru hareket. Ben şimdi senin söylediklerini Dan'e ileteyim. Then he was, he understood that you were talking about colors especially. He didn't fix those because he wanted to give the idea different lightings will cause different reflections on the night sky,
Sure.
and because he was trying to emphasize that, and also the photographs, all of them are single shots because
Right.
he wanted to have kind of documentary photographs, and if he stacked, for instance, he would have lost those plane and satellite trails. So that would take the aim of the collection away. So
That makes
that's
sense.
what we want
That
to
makes
say.
sense. Yeah, that makes sense. Did you have anything else you want to add about this one before we move on?
We can move on.
Okay. Yeah, I
Thank
think
you.
I love that everybody's submitting. I like that we are getting this work out there, and I hope that every artist, as you hear what we're talking about, that you would, one of the things I do, and I know Sarah and I talked about this a couple weeks ago. I want to put my work out there, and I want honest feedback. I want people to let me know what they're seeing that I'm missing, so that I can create a more compelling collection with higher quality work. So whenever we pick these, when we get them up here, our goal is to give good feedback that you can take that and go make it better and increase the quality of your photography going forward. So thanks for submitting. I really appreciate that, Ahmet. Okay.
Ahmet Bey çok teşekkür ediyoruz gönderdiğiniz için. Yani burada biraz önce söylediğim gibi amacımız kesinlikle kırıcı olmak değil, ilerlemek birlikte. O yüzden çok teşekkürler. Benim DM'lerim her
Teşekkür
zaman
ederim.
açık. DM'im her zaman açık. Her türlü konuda konuşabiliriz.
Çok
Teşekkürler.
sağ olun. Mustafa Bey, çok teşekkür ederiz yardımlarınız için. İyi
Rica
akşamlar.
ederim her zaman.
Okay.
We can move on then.
Okay. So let's move on. This is a really interesting, something I haven't really seen anything like this before. So this is Earth Hour, 11 items, in the light and the dark. To participate in Earth Hour project, I camped in a location where the temperature at night even declined to -3 degrees Celsius. I used long exposure technique, and the photos were taken by a Canon AE1 135mm black and white Ilford film camera at ISO 400. Then Kodak D76 was used to develop the photos, and the negatives were scanned at 2300 DPI. Both NFT and the physical film negatives will be sent to the first collector. It is imperative that potential buyers review the transaction history of NFTs prior to purchase to ensure that physical and NFT pairings are being sold as a primary sale by artist. Artists cannot guarantee physical and NFT pairings for secondary sales resold by other parties. Please contact the artist afterward to claim the physical artwork. Okay, this is cool. If the physical artwork is not claimed within 3 months, the rights revert back to the artist, and he will sell, donate, or repurpose. Okay, so this is really interesting because we've got these photos. These are film photos, and then the originals, the film negative is going to the person who buys it, the first person who buys it. So let's kind of take a look here. I'm going to pick what I think is the most interesting looking one right off the top. And I want to look at what we have here. So we've got a quote. We've got some information about how things are being shot. So I'll just start right away and say you need to add some of your other pieces here. I know this is a little more, it's a little more of a physical thing. It's a little bit mixing physical and digital, but I think you still need licensing information, and I think you still need to have your artist information and the fact that it's a one of one. You should add that here and add it to the properties. I'm going to look at this one because I want to zoom in a little closer and see it. This is a, shot at ISO 400 on black and white film, kind of expecting it to be a little grainy. So let's Mustafa, what do you think about this one?
Like you said, I've never seen something like this before. Also, I've seen a couple of people who did analog astrophotography, if you will. Yeah, this is really interesting. Of course, he used 400 ISO film, and that is really pushing the limits. And like you said, I like number 8 the most. As I don't, maybe if he's here, we can ask if he had any post-processing after he, scanned the pieces. That would be, that would be worth to know, because I've done that a little bit, but it's original. And other than that, he doesn't have, he has what level do you see my collection on? Like I said, it's really interesting idea. And does spending physical worth help the market or not? It would, I think. Other than that, I have not much to say. It is an interesting, but my question is, if he has done any post-processing after scanning.
Yeah, Nasir, I think you asked about talking a little bit earlier here a few minutes ago. So I know you're in the group here.
You hear me?
I can hear you, yes.
I'd like to say good morning, good afternoon, good evening, and good morning for all the listeners. I saw the works by other artists. They were really good. I would like to thank you for paying attention.
Of course. Glad you're here. So we were kind of curious. Have you done any post-processing on these aside from just scanning?
My English is a little bit not perfect, but what do you mean by post-production things?
Editing in like digital editing, like in Lightroom or Photoshop?
No Photoshops. They were scanned by myself, and just as new Photoshops or whatever you said was.
Yeah. Okay. No, that's good. That's good. I will say right off the bat. So I shoot some film myself. I have never tried to shoot Astro with film. So hats off to you for trying and for doing this. I think that the approach is really novel. I really like the idea of transferring the negatives to the collector. I think that's a really interesting and unique idea. Right off the bat.
Thanks a
By
lot.
the way, Nasir, are you from Iran?
Yes, I'm from Iran.
So there is Asif here. Maybe he can help translating if needed.
Yes. No, I can understand most of the words, but sometimes at some technical words, I've got some problems. I understand generally.
Okay. And did you go for ISO 400 on purpose, or was that the one you could find?
Sometimes my own experiences talk, it gets back to my experiences in photography with analog cameras. Um, I don't know. I think it was on my own purpose.
All right,
So
thank you.
I think what Mustafa's getting at is that it feels like you may have had a little more compelling images had you shot with a higher ISO. Like I'm thinking like
Uh,
1600.
Yeah, that's
uh,
what I absolutely was thinking. And also,
mm,
there is one technique called pushing ISO for analog photography, if you are aware of it. For instance, um, you can export film, for instance, 400 ISO as if it is 800, and during the developing the film, you can change the duration of developing and the temperature of developing, and that is called pushing. So maybe that could have been very interesting also, but it brings additional noise, or grain, if you will. But that could be something that you can experiment.
yes, you mean if I had used a more ASO, it'd be better than uh,
Higher.
what you saw, yes?
I wouldn't say better, but you might end up with a brighter and maybe a little bit brighter, more open negative. I see.
Uh,
Here's the thing. I really like these. I like number 8. I actually really like number 2. I think this is great too. I would like to see I'd like to see them a little bit with more exposure, just a little bit. And I know it's hard to balance night and foregrounds,
yes.
but I feel like a higher ISO film would capture that a little bit better. Because I like the direction you're going. I actually really like the feel. I love the unique kind of the novelty of the negatives, and I love that you're
Yes.
doing this. And my guidance would be
Thanks.
to think about go do more of this and try to shoot it with some higher speed film.
Yes. Thanks a
Absolutely.
lot. Thanks a lot. Thank you both, and thank you for the listeners.
And I'll just tell
It's a
you, Mike
great,
Schmidt. Mike just
yes.
commented that he says I love these. Mike Schmidt loves them. So you got a fan in the comment section.
Oh, very nice.
I totally agree that. Sorry,
Yeah.
sorry,
Yeah.
Nasir, I cut you off. So I like you said, then I really like the idea, but like you said, then Nasir, it would be nice to go out and experiment with different films, different exposure times and stuff like that. You even inspired me doing the same, because I still have you have A1 and I have A1 program, and I also have another analog camera from my dad. It is a Rolei Cord 6x6. So you
Oh,
inspired me doing that.
Oh, guys, I'm going off into the desert here in about 2 weeks, and I'm going to shoot some film at night now. Same.
Yeah, do it. I'd love to see it.
Well, good. Okay, well, so why don't we move on to the next one?
çok sağ
And
ol Mustafa Bey.
this is great work. Let's just keep up the great ideas. I like it.
Thanks a lot. Thanks a lot.
Yeah, we can move on then.
Okay, our next one is Isolated Moon. And this is, let's see if I can figure out who this is. This is OMG Visuals.
Omid, his name is Omid.
Yep, Omid. Yeah, and Omid is a pretty active member here in the MetaJungle community. So great to have him submit here. So let's just look right off the bat. It says, "I'm a huge astronomy and night sky enthusiast. As far as can I remember, before the COVID-19 quarantines, I went for photography and stargazing every weekend. I enjoyed the night sky and stars for a few hours every week, but with quarantines, the things changed. I couldn't do anything. I couldn't travel, and after a few months, it had a bad effect on me. But one day, as I was standing on the balcony and looking at the city lights, I saw the moon rising on the horizon. I picked up my camera, my telephoto lens, and started taking pictures of the moon. The idea of taking images of the full cycle of the moon came to my mind. I was in quarantine and isolation, and this was the only thing that was left for me from astronomy during the COVID-19 times. Because of the bad weather and pollution, it took me 8 months to completely photograph the moon at each phase, a total of 4,767 raw images and 230 gigabytes of data for this project. This collection includes 9 one-of-one images and 1 video. So 10 items, one of them is a video. We've got a floor price of 0.1. Looks like we've had probably one has sold. Let's take a look. Yep, so one is sold. It's the super cool crescent, these dual crescents. I am right off the bat, and these are really, really great images. I'm just going to say that right off the bat. This is cool. And I want to take a look and just kind of start poking through them. I'm going to put them in order. Look at this. All the stuff is here. License. We've got unlockable content, size, edition, artist. This is really beautiful work. I'm just going to say right off the bat, Omid, go put your go add the license to the properties. But I really like this, and I'm just going to click on this one because these are super high res and really impressive. Look at that. Those are gorgeous. So the couple things I'm just going to say right off the bat, they work super well as a collection. Like I like how well these work. I think that in some ways it's a shame these aren't selling, that these aren't getting a broader audience because they really are cool. What do you think, Mustafa?
Like you said, I couldn't say anything about, the image quality. Some of them are like, composites of 2 crescents, and it has lots of work to do, and as an astrophotographer, I know how hard is to get, these shots, especially when you have this much details on the moon. It is not just, ordinary moon shots. So, I cannot say anything about, the collection, pricing, and like you said, every detail is added in the descriptions. And Omid is a very, very nice guy. He's a friend, community player, and very active. His only concern is he's from Iran, and there have been some people withdrawn from OpenSea. He's asking actually, could that be the reason he's not making any sales? Some collectors might be afraid of this collection also be deleted from OpenSea, and that maybe a slight idea, but that might be a reason. And he's also asking, keeping this one and launching another collection. I would totally say yes to that, and I would totally do it on another platform like Foundation or Sloika. I would definitely go for another collection, and I would keep promoting this one because I don't have anything to say. It is like, I'm not a moon person, I don't shoot moon, but this is like, top quality moon photography, top quality.
Yeah, I totally agree. So I know there's been, I can't remember who was our was it was Nima
Nima,
was all
Nima.
is also had a whole collection deleted, right? Nima Leo, is that right?
Yeah, true.
So there is that could be a thing. I really like this work, and I'll just say like I don't know how much that is a factor, but I do feel like if you were to make future work, it might make sense to put it on a different platform for the same for that same exact reason. In terms of the question about should you put the collection aside and work on a new project, I do have some feelings about that. As an artist, I think so often we put our work out there and it's like our baby, and we care deeply about it, and when it doesn't get traction and people don't buy it, that can be really hard mentally and emotionally. And I think one of the things that you should do is try to step back and say, okay, like you're an artist. This work is not the only work you did, and just because it doesn't sell on here doesn't make you not an artist. So I would always be making new work. It may not be that that you go and put out a new collection right away. Maybe you do. That's kind of up to you as an artist. Like if anybody's guilty of putting work out before their old stuff is sold, that would be me. I've got my hand raised because I have multiple collections that are not sold out. But I think that you kind of have to wrestle with that yourself. But I do think it would be wise to consider that maybe OpenSea is not the place for it if you do, because of where you're from. But that being said, I really like this collection. I think these are beautiful. I have not done a lot of moon photography. I've done a little bit, mainly because I haven't had a long enough lens to really tackle this. But I'm a big fan. This is good work. And if anybody wasn't watching, look at this. Watch this. This is super cool. I like it.
I don't like it. I love it. Like
Me too. Me
I
too.
love it. Yeah, this is like my number one moon. One of the number one moon photography. Another one is another friend from Argentina. His name's Franco. He's also very famous moon photographer, and this this is one of the best in the whole NFT space about moon.
Yeah, I completely agree. And I think this one's already sold, which is a bummer because it's super cool. Because somebody should grab that. But honestly, man, I think this might be the one. This might be the one to pick up if you're a collector looking to jump in on this.
Yeah, that in that one actually, then we see more than moon moving. We also see moon wobbling, and we also see moon getting closer to us and getting away from us. That is so valuable, precious to see.
Yeah. Agreed. Well, I don't know that we have a whole lot more to say here on this one. It's beautiful work and we like it. It needs more eyes.
Absolutely, it needs more eyes, and I'm sure you will get there. But I don't know if Omid is here. But I talk to him almost every day, so I will tell him what we think. Yeah, so he should
Hello,
he should.
Mustafa.
Yeah, hi Omid.
Hello, Mustafa. Hello, Dan. Hello, Mike. Emma, Jaden,
Hello.
everyone. Hello. Yeah, thank you so much, Dan, for the amazing comments that you have on my collection. The reason that I submitted my work was actually those two important questions that I had, because a lot of Iranian artists are really struggling about the OpenSea issues and the problems that it brings us. So I wanted things to be a little bit cleared up for me. And the other one is because the sale is really low. I had only one collector, and he's collecting a lot of works from Iranian artists, regardless of the marketplace and OpenSea banning. So that is that. I mean, that is beyond the question I had, and so things are now really cleared up. Thanks to you, Dan. Thanks to you, Mustafa. And I would like to say that from now on, I will start a little bit working on my new collection that is mainly uh, deep sky nightscape, as I can completely give the information and start working on it. So
That's
thank you so much, everyone, for the comments, for the information that you gave me. And if there is any question about this collection, I would be honored to answer them.
No, I think this is beautiful. I do have one question. It's totally technical thing. What focal length are you shooting these at? And I know that you've stacked. You know, there's 350 images, and some of these, 350 single raw images. But what focal length are you shooting at?
I used 800 millimeter mirror lens with the 2x teleconverter on a Fujifilm crop sensor X-T2, so that makes it around 2,400 millimeter focal
Wow.
length.
You're not playing an
On a
amateur lens.
tracker. No, and I use the Ioptron Sky Tracker, so I can track the moon as it moved through the sky, which I needed to take images, back-to-back images from it. So I used it to track the moon for around more than 1 hour, so I can have really clear images, so I could stack them up
Oh, that's great.
at each night.
No, I love it. This is really beautiful work. I applaud you for anytime you're putting a bunch of images together like that. I know what that means, and good work. This is great work.
And just one more thing before we move on. Normally, Omid will know, we use planetary cameras to shoot moon and other planets, and you are doing this with a mirrorless camera, and this is more even applaudable. Like my hats off to you, Omid. Apart from being biased because you're my friend, but what you're doing is incredible. 2400 millimeter focal length, and doing that with that equipment is always big thing.
Actually, Mustafa, I couldn't have done it if the Fujifilm X-T2 didn't have the electronic shutter, because even it have a small mechanical shutter, if at that focal length, it would have shaken the camera. You wouldn't believe it, because I've tried it with my Nikon as well. And the mechanical shutter, how can I say, punch would be a really good word for it. I used the electronical shutter on my X-T2 to capture these, and it would have been impossible to do so with a mirrorless camera if it didn't have the electronic shutter.
There you
Yeah,
go.
I would believe so, Omid. Yeah, and you know what? I've been looking for hearts to throw here, but like in Twitter Spaces, but we don't have it here. So I've been trying to look for hearts to throw at you, Omid.
Well, it's beautiful
Thank you
work.
so much, Mustafa. Thank you so much, Dan, for the amazing comments and the information you give me.
Of course. Well, looks like we're on track to finish all of these at 2 hours. So let's move on to the next one. So this is Jewels of the Night, and the artist for this one is Betzner, Jason Betzner. And I wanted to just kind of look. So this is interesting because it's the first collection. We've seen some of this in MetaJungle and before we were doing a dedicated Astro, but doing the deep space is pretty cool. So Jewels of the Night Sky features some of my favorite deep space objects. Each image was taken with a Canon 6D, small refractor telescope, and a star tracker from my backyard in Virginia. When you purchase a piece of my work, it brings you closer to the cosmos and our origins. Every purchase will help me bring more pieces to the NFT community and support other artists and photographers. Thank you for viewing my collection. And looks like we've got 6 items. They all have pretty straightforward names, which is great. 0.08 and 0.1. Looks like these 2 have sold. And looks like we've got a good description. We've got our photographer, collection, edition, location, year created, gear, genre, license, all that stuff. So that's great. Always like to see all the details. Thought I'd click on this one and take a look at it. So I will say that I don't have very much experience at deep sky imaging, and I would love to know what do you think about this, Mustafa? What's your take? We've got a fairly small collection here, but pretty focused, and we've sold 2 already. What do you think?
Yeah, so I actually know Jason, and I think he's doing a really nice job. Again, I would evaluate these photos with the equipment used, and he's using Canon 6D. I'm not familiar with Canon cameras, but it is a full frame camera as far as I know, right?
Yep, it is.
Yeah, so overall it is good, but what I recommend is when you're using DSLR camera, because I also use DSLR camera for deep space shots, would be increasing the total integration time, and I always use this term signal to noise ratio to increase the signal noise ratio and increase details. And of course, I am sure Jason is also aware that I would look for increasing my post-processing skills. But overall, for the equipment used, it is really good. I would go for some technical issues, but I'm not going to do that in here. I can tell Jason in private. But overall, that is where I started, almost using short focal length lens and DSLR camera and a very simple tracker. I'm sure Jason is going to move forward, upgrading his equipment, maybe buying a dedicated Astro camera, and also maybe better mount, and also a better, let's not say better, but maybe even further telescopes in the future. But I also told Jason before, he is on the right track. So I love the collection, and he asked actually some questions in his submission. Astrophotography is unique. How can I get across to collectors how difficult Astro is, how much time it takes? As you know, we are doing some Astro spaces, and we are trying to explain all this. So the best way to explain this, showing up in the spaces and talking about astrophotography, and increasing the awareness how hard it is to and come up with one single image, how much time it takes, how much equipment and how much knowledge it takes. That would be my take. And I am one of the front line warrior on this, trying to explain astrophotography in every sense and in everywhere. So I'd love you to join me in that, mission. And yeah, pricing is I think it's good. I would maybe go for 0.1 for all each, because the 0.08 and 0.1 are equally good for me.
They're basically
Yeah.
the same. Like they're close enough that you might as well just charge the same.
Yeah. And yeah, like I said, most probably in near future we will have even the deep space astrophotography post-processing workshop. So I would look for improving my post-processing techniques, but that comes with I don't know if you have ever had the chance to compare total 2 hours exposures and 10-hour exposures. You will see how easy to post-process when you have total integration of 10 hours.
Right.
It will be noise-free. There will be lots more details, and it will be a lot easier to post-process that one.
Yeah. Jason's in the audience here.
Yeah, I know. I've seen him. Hi,
Jason,
Jason.
do you want to say anything? You have any other questions? If you can join us.
Yeah, can you hear me now?
Yes, we can.
Yeah. So yeah, I think, and Mustafa was right. I think this is like my third year trying, playing with the telescope and trying to understand equipment. And Mustafa's right. Yeah. I think the Andromeda I posted is about 10 hours. And I saw a huge difference, at 10 hours in just the colors I was able to bring out and the detail and in the gas bands. It's a huge difference. And for some of the other photos like the Heart Nebula and the Soul Nebula, I'm using a filter, and my Canon is not Astro modified, which means that it has trouble picking up, hydrogen and other gases from these nebula. So I use a filter to help with that, but it's a little more difficult to process, even in something like PixInsight, which is a really powerful program, just because I don't have the Astro modified camera. So yeah, that's Mustafa mentioned that's one thing I wanted to eventually upgrade to, is get like a Astro camera and some more filters that can get more of that gas. But I felt that these were really good for the equipment that I had, and I was prepared to go ahead and share them.
Yeah, these are great. I have a question for you. So, what are the sizes of the images that you've uploaded here to OpenSea?
In terms of like megabytes.
Yeah. No, just like how many pixels?
Oh, I think that when I export them all, they're usually 300 dots per inch. Whatever the standard is when you export them from like Photoshop. I think it's like
Right.
300 dpi. Yeah.
And what's the resolution?
Ooh,
Like
that's a good question. I'm not sure.
Here's why I'm asking. I'm
Okay.
going to be people who listen to me on the MetaJungle AMAs. The images look a little bit soft, and I think that you've uploaded a kind of a small image.
Okay, yeah, I can definitely go back and look at that.
Here's
Dan, sorry to interrupt, but I want to say something important there, because he's using very short focal length and also using a full frame camera, so his field of view is very large. So these photographs, all of them are heavily cropped, right, Jason?
Oh yeah, for sure. Well,
Yeah, yes, they are.
Here's why I'm saying it. if you sell this piece, you need to think about how this image is going to look on a 5K 3-foot wide screen. And I think it's not so much that I don't think the resolution is not. I'm just saying I think that the image itself looks like it's maybe not very high res, and I don't, because I can see that it's not breaking up, but I think that there's a little bit of like if you were to go in the 3,500 to 4,000 pixel on the long edge, you might get a little bit cleaner. It might look a little cleaner because I can tell the details there, but it doesn't hold up. It looks low res when I zoom in.
Okay, yeah, I can take a look at that because I've actually printed that one myself, like on a 8x12, I think, metal print, and it looked pretty good. So yeah, I don't know.
No, that's what I'm thinking. I'm thinking it should look a little better than it does. And this is one of those things I'm trying to remind people is that when you upload here, I think we're all used to like Instagram and Facebook where it's 2048 pixels. And I don't think that's high enough res for NFTs, is my gut. I think that you need to go a little higher res. Because remember that you're putting these on the blockchain, which means hopefully they're still around 10 and 15 years from now. Well, the new current Apple monitors they're selling are 6K. So if this image becomes the desktop on a collector's computer, you want it to be high res. So just think about it.
Yep. Thanks. Thank you.
Yeah, and also, maybe Jason, I wouldn't crop this much. Maybe it's me, but when it comes to especially galaxies and a nebulae like this, I like a little bit of space around the object. Yeah, so, and you have very wide field of view because of the equipment you use. It's not your fault, of course, but maybe a little less cropping would be better. Maybe.
Okay, yeah, thanks.
Good work though. And I think it works really well as a collection as well. So
yeah, sorry, I was also going to ask what filter you're using, Jason. If you explain in the descriptions, and if I missed it, sorry. For the H alpha ones to bring out which filter you're using.
Yeah, I think for the ones I used to filter in the descriptions, I think I put in there that it was the Uplong L-Enhance filter.
Oh, okay, so it's kind of narrow band filter. So yeah, you did a very good job on that. Those filters are not easy to use. They will change the white balance, dramatically. But you did a very good job. Uplong enhanced filter. Yeah, I think you did a very good job, and filter. Selecting the filter is also right. I wouldn't go for instance, there's Optolong L Extreme that I have it. It wouldn't work for you, or other narrowband filters wouldn't work for you, because then you would have to go for 5 to 10 minutes single exposures, and it is a little bit hard with Ioptron Pro to achieve that long exposures without having auto guiding. Sorry for going extremely technical, but yeah.
Well, I think this is great. I love it. Good work, Jason. Keep up the great work, and thanks for sharing.
Yeah, thank you so much.
Well, let's move on. We got two more left. So this next one is Paul M. Smith, and this is I actually got off of. Let me see if I can get back to the collection. Is this the right collection? Chasing Ghosts? That's right? Making sure that's the right one. Chasing Ghosts. Yes, this is the right one.
Yeah,
okay. Okay, so I will say, I'm going to say that I've already seen this collection. I saw it a while ago when he first started putting this out. But we'll just read through here. Ever since I was a child, I've been obsessed with the night sky. As an adult, I still look up and wonder, and have tried to capture some of that feeling in photographs. This collection represents several years of my studying, chasing, and imaging some of the rarest events in our atmosphere that are only visible at night, red sprites. These are all real scenes, images of massive and intricate atmospheric breakdowns above strong lightning strikes. They're tough to predict and very fast, which leave them extremely difficult to image. With every capture, a little bit of their mystery is revealed, yet they still remain very little understood to this day. This collection contains 15 full-frame single-shot images of red sprite events over distant storms. It encompasses some of my best captures from 5 years of chasing. Visit the website. Thanks for stopping by, and please email with additional questions. He's got his email there. So right off the bat, like this is super interesting and weird, but cool. I mean, I don't know that you could define a theme, a collection as well as these. Like this is a super focused subject, and I think it works really well as a subject. I like it. It immediately makes me want to go start Googling stuff, which I think is a good way to start. There are 15 items. Floor price is 0.25. It looks like we've sold a good chunk of them. There's 6 owners, and if I start looking through, we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Looks like 5 of them are sold, and some of them are a little higher priced, 0.5. Yeah, this is cool. This is cool. Mustafa, tell me what you think about this.
Yeah, it's an interesting thing, like even though I am interested in, this type of stuff, I really have no idea what it is. I actually read before we came here, and like you said, it makes you go and Google it, but I didn't have time to do it. I really find it very nice and interesting. It's it looks like some kind of aurora, and it's obviously something related to upper atmosphere. So I really like it. The idea. I've got not much to say. Like maybe pricing might be a little higher for some, but it is unique. So it has rarity. So that will explain that part of the the pricing.
Yeah. I think maybe that just the thing I find most interesting is just that this just seems like the nerdiest thing to go chase. It's so interesting because I just think, how would you even know that this is a thing? Like I've never seen this in nature. So I barely understand what I'm even looking at. And that is one of the reasons why it's so interesting. It's so, kind of unique to me. Oh, this one.
Is Paul here? Maybe he can explain a little, because I'd love to a little bit more about this phenomena.
It doesn't look like he's in the room with us. But let's there's a really long, great description on each one. So first of all, I shouldn't say first of all. I've already said that like 3 or 4 times. There is a very long description on pretty much every one of these photos, talking about what we're seeing, where it is, how it happened. In fact, I'm just going to read this one. A cascade of photons fills the horizon in a series of red streaks and beads. A massive volume of electrically charged atmosphere shocked into excitation by a 100 Ka lightning strike born of a Kansas storm system below. To the eyes, white shapes fill the field of view and are gone in an instant. To the keen observer, it could be described as a dim aurora, maybe a storm aurora. I'm Paul Smith, a landscape, storm, and night sky photographer from the USA. I started with photography in 2015 and quickly became addicted to capturing the beautiful world around me. In 2019, I captured my first red sprite on camera and quickly became obsessed. They were only discovered in 1989 and have only been imaged very rarely. Now in 2022, I've been recognized as one of the top sprite photographers in the world, and I'm always pushing the limits on Imagine in an attempt to not only get the best picture I can, but to work with scientists to better understand red sprites. Yeah, so Yeah, kind of nerding out a little bit here, but yeah, this is super cool. What I'm kind of curious about, what's not here in the details, is what I'd love to know more about. Like, what is our exposure time here? Like, how long does this last? Is it something that's, is it up there for? Oh, Boss Mom just says he says that you have only a few to 10 milliseconds to capture them. Oh, and she's so apparently we need to go to the website.
Wow.
And yeah. Okay. So I love this. I think this is really interesting. And I think this could be super appealing to the right kind of Astro nerd. And I love that that is a thing, that people can get all excited about this. If I were gonna be picky about it at all, I think that this is something we haven't really talked about yet. When you talk about Milky Way and night sky images, I think one of the things is that it's, when you first learn, you go out and you take pictures, and you're obsessed with, every picture has to have like the perfect Milky Way core, and then you're doing your best to do some kind of a composition so that it's lined up with something in the foreground. And I think it becomes easy for us to have all the images kind of look very similar, because the Milky Way always looks the same. This is super interesting because it's always a little different. But I feel like there's a couple things here where some of these might be super interesting from a documentary standpoint, but they're not quite as interesting visually. Like, to me, like, look at this one here. This one gives you context, right? There's a massive, crazy storm happening, and then they're going off, because that's what they do. That's what causes them. And you look and you can kind of see something. I can't tell if it's a storm or what's going on here, but like, this one's massive. It's got all kinds of details.
May I say something there?
Yeah, please do.
That one, Chasing Ghost number 19, for instance, that one, something like that one, could be, put minted as one-of-one in different, platform, rather than being in a collection. I'm sure, as his description was saying, he's number one Red Sprites photographer. So I'm sure he has lots of stuff like this. So he could easily go for one-of-ones rather than collections also, with the very special ones. For instance, this one is very special. I mean, not the foreground, but the sky.
Look at this one. It has a reflection. Yeah. So I think if I were going to, let's see, Mike thinks number 12. He likes number 12. We'll find that one. Yeah. Yeah, the color is great. So a couple things to think about here. If I were going to give any feedback, it's that the collection might be a little too big. That might be my only thing. And it's hard because these are all really good. So I don't know that what I would pick out, if there was any I would remove. But super cool. Look at this one. Got the stars glowing in there too. Okay, and everybody's dropping all kinds of links in the chat. We've got all kinds. We've got stuff taken from the space station. We've got Wikipedia. We've got OMG visuals dropped in. Almanac.com's link to how they work. So
I'm also wondering if they are visible to naked eye. I think they should be, right?
Yeah, that I don't know. Well, okay, so, but from a collection standpoint, these are really, really great. Oh yeah, he says they look naked, white to the naked eye, so you wouldn't be able to see the colors. What did he have any questions? So look and see.
No, not really. He said favorite part, hometown.
We got a joker on our hands. Well, I think these are really great, and I think if anything, all of you should go and find his tweet, and you should go retweet these and talk about how nerdy and unique they are. And let's get some more eyes on them because these are super cool.
Yeah, absolutely.
Anything else to add? Are we good?
We're good. We're good.
Okay. He's got great descriptions and everything, so let's just get more eyes on these and see if we can find some more. Okay, I think we just have one more. We already looked at that. Okay.
We actually have two more, Dan.
Do we have two?
Yeah, because there is one Aurora one. I think you missed that.
Oh,
Look
I
up
skipped
the
it.
sky and see.
This one here? Okay, so let's go ahead and let's look up to the sky. And see. Yeah, I skipped it because it got loaded at the wrong spot. Okay, so let's do these because we're a little bit out of time. We can go a little bit over. But so this is Vincent Boudez. Hopefully I'm saying that right. A collection of 25 photos maximum, one of one editions, no composite. Northern Lights have always been a dream. Yeah, I know. Normally that kind of story starts well with good feelings, but here this is not the case. The 13th of November 2015, the attacks on Paris happened downstairs. Literally, that night, seeing the covered bodies of survivors wearing survival blankets in the streets, their empty eyes, the army in my street, and everything that happened during the next days totally changed my way of living my life. It could have been me. I decided to stop postponing things. And it almost started by taking a plane to northern Norway to see the northern lights for my birthday. And here it comes. Now I spend every birthday up there and several months per year to live the Arctic dream under the northern lights. And the only lesson that should be learned is we should not wait for that kind of event to live our life. And I'm one of the luckiest guys on the planet. These are really beautiful.
Only one thing I could say about this collection, maybe this side of the collection, then I'm sure you would maybe say the same thing. 20, sounds a little bit more. He already has some sales. Well, I would say, all the pictures are, different from each other. There's no repetition. But maybe reducing number, could lead to sold out. I don't know, but I love them all in general. They're awesome.
Yeah, one of the things that's interesting is that you kind of are. It's not that Northern Lights are an easy thing to shoot. That's not the thing. It's that it really opens up and changes how you think about composition. It's really, it has some of the same vibes as Milky Way, like in terms of thinking about where things go in the sky, and yet it really completely transforms the landscape and opens up the colors. And so for me, when I look at this, I think, okay, the processing is really good and consistent. There's a couple things that are bothering me just a little bit. And this is something that we dug into a little bit last week. I know that some of these are sold, but the numbers are bothering me in the titles. Because you say that, like, when we look through here, there's 25 photos, but this is number 31, right? And I saw 32 down here, I think. 42, 29. I would fix the ones that aren't sold and change. I would get rid of the numbers for all the ones that aren't sold if I were you. That's what I would do. Also, this is gorgeous.
Yeah.
This one too. Wow.
Yeah, you can see the heart rate.
Yep.
Beautiful. And it fits with the mountain there. It is beautiful. And
yeah,
I love Norway because Norway has more structure in the foreground, not like Finland. I've been to Finland, but it's just trees and plains, that's it.
Right. Look at this one. Well, let's. I'm kind of curious what feedback he was hoping for. Let's see. he was at the beginning, right?
Yeah, so he says,
I just went out
let's
of
see,
order.
number of pieces, actually. He's asking about that.
Yeah. He says, I created too many collections before selling. I have too much unsold stuff. So how do I fix that? Okay, so I have some thoughts on this. First of all, I don't like the idea of burning things that are actually minted. I just don't. I think that it's. I think you have to decide that you burn something because you don't want it to be there anymore, not because it creates too much work that's out there. Now, OpenSea is a little different. So if you have lazy minted stuff, you can just delete them. That's not a problem. You can just delete them. You can kill whole collections if you want. You can trim back collections. The only thing you need to think about is if but there's a bunch of collectors that already own pieces in the collection, messing with the collection a whole bunch is a little weird. And it sometimes makes sense to check in with your collectors and say, hey, I want to trim this a little bit and kind of finish it out to tighten it and see what they think. If they're okay with it, great. If they have issues with it, then you take it up with them and you figure that out. In terms of, I'm just going to look because I'm curious. He says he has too much work. So let's go look and see what he's got. Okay, so we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 different collections. And I've seen all of these. This is all solid work. I think the biggest thing you have to figure out is, do you want it to live on here? And this is the question that I think maybe what you're getting at. If you have a whole bunch of unsold photos, is it making your other unsold photos feel like they're worth less money? I think that's kind of what you're asking. And if you reduce collections, what would a collector that owns a piece from it think? I think that you just have to reach out and ask them. You just have to figure out what they think. But my gut is, I don't like burning stuff that's on Foundation or Sloika or other places because it cost me money to create it in the first place. And if I didn't care about it, why did I spend money to mint it? If it's not minted, then you're free to kill it if you don't want it to be up there anymore. But I don't think that quantity of good imagery makes the other pieces less valuable, unless you've put another piece out there that looks just like other pieces. That's what I've kind of ranted about this a little bit on Twitter, but I really feel like the idea of scarcity is about quantity. It is not about quality. We are selling photographic works of art. We're not selling trading cards here. So the fact that you have these pieces, the fact that this exists shouldn't make any bit of difference to somebody looking at your Aurora pictures. They don't have anything to do with each other. This doesn't make it any more or any less valuable. If anything, it shows that you're a broader, more talented photographer. Okay, you've been a little quiet, Mustafa. What do you think?
Oops, sorry, I was on live chat. Sorry. So yeah, like you said, they're all really, even though they're not my, genre, but they are really good work. And I also reduced number of NFTs in my Genesis collection. And like you said, I talked to my collectors in the first place and how they would feel about it. And after the green light, I went for it. So yeah, I would also consider reducing. If there is, for instance, a collection with 0 sales, maybe I would just take out from sales and keep it for afterwards. Because for instance, I have multiple collections, for instance, one in Sloika, two in OpenSea, and a few pieces in Foundation and one in Tugs. So it is really hard to keep up with all those things and, promoting all those things at the same time. So it is already tiring, like trying to sell out one collection. Having this much should be even more tiring. So
Right.
yeah, that would be my take on this.
Yeah. So I think the biggest thing I was getting at is that I don't think that reducing quantity is not what I don't think that is the goal. I think the goal is reducing redundancy. So if you've got too many of images that look the same, that's a good reason to trim things. If you've got work that you're not passionate about, that's a good reason to trim things. But having a lot of really great work, I don't think that's a problem. I just don't.
Absolutely. Yeah.
So in terms of this particular collection, I would probably try to trim it back a little bit, and I would look at your numbering and try to get those cleaned up so that they're a little bit less confusing. Figure out how many you have left and get rid of the numbers. Just give them names. They all have names already. Maybe get rid of the numbers for the ones that are still around. Do you have any other thoughts? Do you have any more thoughts on this one, Mustafa?
No, not really. They are all really good. Yeah, I would also trim a little, down to somewhere like, maybe 15, 12, I don't know, depending on what was his name, his will, Vince, I think.
Yeah, Vince. Well, and okay, little like these are some obvious little gimmies. These two, this is clearly the better image.
Yeah, definitely.
And I know that these are both sold already, and yet if they weren't, I would probably trim and keep one, not both. To me, this one, it's interesting, but I don't think it fits as well from a color perspective, and I don't think it's quite as interesting. And I like this one. I like that it's a different subject, but I don't think it fits with these. So, okay. Well, let's move on and we have one more left. Before I say anything, let's just make sure Vince isn't here and didn't want to say anything. Yeah, he's not in the room with us. Okay, so the last one, this is Yusuf. He submitted last night, so I wanted to get him in here and leave him on the end because he is in New Zealand. So pretty cool to get one more to look at. Lots of Milky Way action here. Let's look at the description. This collection is a set of 9 one-of-one shots taken over the past couple of years, showcasing my passion that is astrophotography. Capturing nightscapes is an experience unto itself, standing out in the middle of nowhere, on your own under a cloudless sky, is the essence of peace in my mind. It is my gateway and respite from the world, an opportunity to reset and let my mind free to breathe and dream. So let's just take a look here. I'm going to put them in order. Aha, minted them in a different order than the numbering. Okay, so right off the bat, Yusuf, I'm going to just let you know that we have shared in the MetaJungle that we want to make sure that you have your artist name, the fact that it's a one-of-one, details about the collection, as well as licensing information, so that collectors know what they're getting when they license your image, when they purchase your NFT. Okay, and Goon, if you want to give Yusuf mic access, he's in the room with us and wanted to be able to talk.
Here, I would say that, I love all the pictures, actually, before Yusuf says.
Yeah.
I like the compositions, I like the post processing, I like everything. I don't find any technical issues. And I think Yusuf is accomplished astrophotographer, nightscape photographer, and New Zealand is brilliant. I love that one, for instance, Astro Dreaming number 5.
Let me tell you one of the reasons I like this so much. I love that it's an upside down version of what I get to see.
Yeah,
I recognize like the Rho Ophiuchi complex. I recognize the core, but it's all flipped upside down. I think it's fantastic.
yeah,
Hey
I
guys.
agree.
Hey, Yusuf.
Yeah, it's 7 in the morning, so put a bit of effort waking up early for you guys. And I appreciate you guys going through my work.
For sure. You're I always joke around whenever I'm talking with my Australian and my New Zealand friends that you're future man. You're living in the future.
Yeah. Won't be soon. I'm traveling back to the UK in a couple weeks, so I'll be on, I guess, normal people time. I'll be in the present
There you go.
for a couple weeks.
Yeah. Well, I was trying to, since you're on here, and we've gone a little over the 2 hours. What feedback are you looking for on this collection?
Oh, it was more because I've had this collection out since I think October or something along that line, and I haven't really got too many sales on. So I was wondering about getting some sort of feedback in terms of maybe the pricing. Like you can see how they've got different prices from ranging from 0.1 up to 0.5. Wondering whether that's something you think is okay, or should I be doing it more consistent pricing? Because it's basically just dependent on how much effort I put into each shot. So like the higher ones, I like spent all night shooting them. I went out, 6-hour drive, 4 hours hiking to get the shot and that kind of thing. So that kind of stuff, and yeah, and like and some questions about utility offerings. So I've got 10% charity, 10% of the sale going to charity. But I'm wondering if there's anything else you guys could think. Like obviously there's prints and stuff, but
Yeah. Well, I think first of all, this is my take, and full disclosure here, Yusuf and I are in a chat group over on Twitter, so we've talked a little bit about this already. My gut on pricing is that collections, I think one of one imagery, and this is my personal thought, I think one of one stuff, if you price that stuff around the 0.5 range, maybe 0.3, 0.5 and upwards, I think that makes a lot of sense. I feel like pricing collection pieces like this with such a broad range, like you've sold one at 0.1, you've sold one at 0.15. I think the 0.5 and the 0.4 might be a little high priced in this collection. I don't know that changing the price on those is going to make them move or make the collection move more, but it is a little bit of a disparity when I open it up. Like I just go, that seems a little high priced. That said, when I pull this image up and I look at it, holy crap! Like we've the color balance, the detail, the way that you've balanced everything here is very, very good. I love the detail in the Milky Way. It's the right balance of bright and dark. It's not blown out, and also just this is cool that you've included all this stuff, and that you've got this air glow happening. I actually am a big fan of air glow and Milky Way shots. So I like it. I just don't know the 0.5. That seems a little high for a collection piece alongside 0.1, 0.15.
Okay, yeah, that's good. That's good to hear.
Yeah,
I'll take that into.
Yeah, I totally agree on that. And like you said, Yusuf, you price depending on how much you drive or how much you walked, hiked. But the collector, when he looks at your collection, he won't know. Maybe it is written in the description, but maybe he won't even bother to go into the description, right? I'm not talking about quality of your work. You know, your quality of your work is enormous. You know, like enormous. And we didn't have much, opportunity to talk. But I know you from my friend Okan, so I know
Yeah.
you're, yeah, you're so good. I mean, in Milky Way photography. Um, you know, I have nothing to say about your processing, your, you know, compositions and everything. They're awesome, brilliant.
Well, I appreciate that, man. It's nice to hear that coming from you, who is obviously also very extremely good at your Milky Way composition and editing and all and everything along that line. So I appreciate that.
Look how clean this is. I mean, seriously.
Yeah, very good. What equipment you're using, Yusuf?
I'm using D850, Nikon D850 with my normal lens is a 24mm 1.4, the Sigma Art lens, and every so often I'll use my Nikon 50mm 1.4, and I've got a Ioptron Sky Tracker, but I I think a couple of these are tracked, but not a lot of most of them aren't.
I'm gonna say this one looks longer. Looks like it's probably a 50.
Yeah, that's a 50.
Yeah.
Yeah, I didn't realize. I only noticed recently that I thought I couldn't add properties to already minted stuff, but on OpenSea, but you can. So I will be doing that.
Yeah, so this is something that I keep saying it, and I want you to everybody to understand it. Like, add the properties, add the camera, add where you're located, just anything that's interesting to you, and then add your licensing information. Put it all in the properties. It's just it looks so clean. I mean, maybe that's the reason why I'm so. When I look at them, I pull them up. As soon as I see a listing that has all that stuff, I just go, oh, there's more information here. This one has more information than most, and that's how I feel about it. Let me give you a little bit more thought. So it has nine items, and you've got 2 sold already. Something that I don't know that there's any, like Mustafa said, there's no quality issues here with any of these. These are all great shots. I think if it's been sitting for a while and you're not getting the traction you like, you could consider removing some pieces. That are maybe not, that you feel like are maybe not as strong as the others. So that could be a way to tighten things up a little bit. Maybe revisit some of your pricing and see if that. In terms of marketing, and this is something, you know, you've seen me do this and we've talked about it, but I really feel like taking individual pieces, sharing the story behind them, you know, one at a time. You know, say, you know, pick one. Take this one here, Astro Dreaming number 5. I would take like that image and I would share exactly what did it take to make that? Where is it located? Where is this cool satellite dish? What is it doing? What is that story? Share that on Twitter so you can have a conversation about it. And do that for each piece that you keep in the collection. And I think that's the kind of thing you need to do to get people to view your work and to see it and to engage with it.
Yeah, that's a good idea.
Absolutely, yeah, I agree.
Like almost every time that something happens, it's because I put something out there, and then somebody asks another question about it, and then we end up in a conversation, and then they go, "Hey, that's actually really cool," and then they buy it. It doesn't happen. I mean, I'm not saying I have a ton of sales, but almost every sale there's a conversation. I know the person's interested in the photo already because we had a conversation about it.
Yep, that's definitely a good idea. I'll be doing that soon.
I think we
on the
yeah.
on the notes.
Well, I think we place too much emphasis on I'm going to put my work out there and then somebody's randomly going to find it. I just don't think I think that's the exception, not the rule. Hey, Goon, can you give OMG Visuals access so he can talk? You wanted to add something? All right, your mic is unmuted, Omid. Maybe.
Yeah, it's unmuted.
Okay. Did you want to, OMG, if you want to say something, go for it.
Now, hello?
Yes, you're there. We
Hello,
can hear you.
everyone. Yeah, yeah. I wanted to add one small thing. One huge difference that this collection have to other ones. It's the lighting of the foreground and how well lit the foreground is. In astrophotography, when you're shooting in the first week or the last week of the moon, of the new moon, and the after that, on the last week of the moon, which is the last quarter, you can have the natural lighting of the moon lighting your foreground, and it is it can give you really amazing soft lighting to the foreground. I just wanted to add this small thing, which I saw in this collection, and I didn't see that in the previous collection of the white Milky Way shots.
Yeah, Yusuf, you've done a very good job here. One of the things I nitpick in my own work, and I see it in other people's, is the idea that you want the light that's on your foreground, the light on your on the landscape, to feel like it could have come from the Milky Way. It needs to feel natural, and if you get weird color balances, that will kind of throw things off. So you've done a great job here. This is really, really beautiful work.
Yeah, most of these are just foregrounds are just long exposures. So Milky Way will be, if it's not tracked, it's like 10 seconds long, and then like maybe 9 shots to get stacked, and then the foreground is like a long exposure, so like 3 minutes with like lower ISO. So that's enables you to get that lighting.
Good to hear. Mustafa, did you want to add anything else before we wrap things up?
Oops. Yeah, no, not really. All fine from my side.
Okay. Well, this is our last. Yusuf, thank you for sharing and being in here and getting up this morning with us.
It's all right. I've got to go pick up my wife from her night shift in about 5 minutes, so it's okay. It works out.
There you go. Thanks for being here with us. I appreciate it.
No problem.
Great work.
Appreciate you having me.
Best of luck with it. Mustafa, thank you so much for joining me on this for this session today. This was a lot of fun. I love having your expertise. We got to see some really great work today, and I just hope that everybody takes something useful from this. That anybody listening appreciates how hard this kind of photography is, how technical, but also it's lots and lots of trial and error. So thanks, Mustafa, for all of your input and your suggestions and your guidance.
You're welcome, Dan. It's my pleasure, really. When it is about space astrophotography, I love to be there.
Perfect. Well, I think with that, we're going to go ahead and wrap things up. Thank you so much to all the MetaJungle family. Thanks, Boss Mom and Goon, for jumping in and sharing your fear of aliens and your expertise with running this whole thing. Much appreciated. Hope you guys have a great rest of the day.
Thank you, guys. Great job today.
My pleasure.
Thank you, guys.